terminal.
RCP chamber pressure looks good.
Doubling up. Roger, roll, Atlantic.
Water towers can fly!
Tango Delta nominal.
Flighting outside feed off. Bring in SCE off. Off.
Yikes. You bet. Concur. We don't need any more of these.
Quick 5x5 for everybody in chat. Make sure that everything's working okay. We don't need more of those.
Can you hear us?
All right, they can. Hi, everybody. Welcome to NASA Spaceflight Live. It's the weekly show where we talk about all the week's news in the aerospace industry, rocket launches, anything that's happening externally to that as well. Very happy to have you all here today. With me today are Jack Beyer and Steve Marr, photographer and commentators extraordinaire. Hi, guys.
Hello. How's everybody doing out there tonight, today, this morning?
Whatever time zone
it is
you're
for
in.
you. Yeah.
There are many time zones around the world. Very many of them.
I always get Australia wrong, so I just assume they're in all times at once.
They're in upside down time.
Technically, aren't they in the future? I mean, hey, that's the best time of all.
It's true. Quick note about NASA Spaceflight Live. This is a weekly show where you get to ask in questions as well, and we will do our very best to answer. Steve and Jack here are both pretty knowledgeable on some things. If we don't have answers, we'll try to figure out what those are for whatever they might be on the topics that we're talking about. We've got a few things to address today. We've got some things going on with Blue Origin. We have some things going on with SpaceX, of course, as always. There's Vega, Firefly, Ingenuity. We're gonna start off with some of those. So if you have any questions, you can feel free to start putting them in the queue with your super chats and whatever else you'd like to do. And I'd also like to thank our paid members real quick for making the show possible. So thank you guys very much.
Yes.
We're gonna start off today talking a little bit about Vega, wasn't it?
Yeah. Vega
let's
got
do
off
it.
the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think well, I was waiting for. I think we have a video that's going to be playing here pretty soon. But yeah, Vega launched, and which day was this? Oh man. Well,
This
either
is on
way,
the
it was.
16th.
Yeah, it was the second flight since that failure a couple years back, where some wires were crossed or something. Rocket thought it was going one way and was inadvertently going another way. Yeah.
But this one was successful.
This one was successful. Yes, the second successful flight since that failure. So Vega hopefully is gonna start a streak of leaving those failures behind it.
So
It's
this
a-
is
I think it's a cool
LEDSat.
I'm sorry.
land.
So this was a satellite launch for this one.
Yeah. Satellite launch. One of the things I love about Vega, isn't it like all solid?
That's exactly what I was about to say. Is it reminds
yeah,
me
go
of Minotaur, like the Minotaur C, or it's one of those all solid rockets. So at least the first two stages, right?
Right.
And it just kind of, it's just you gotta love solid rockets, and yeah, that's Vega.
Well, it's like during the last Antares launch, I was doing commentary with Chris G, and I was like going on about how I was surprised that a second stage could be a solid, and still have
Right.
precision in getting into orbit. But
Right,
this
that's because they're
being-
they're able to shape the grain or whatever in the actual solid propellant in the motor, so that they can tailor the amount of thrust they get. It's absolutely wild.
yeah,
also means-
and
Wouldn't that
And
mean when you
actually,
make the second stage, you have to know like what the trajectory that second stage is going to be used for? Because you're
Uh-huh.
baking it into the construction, right? So
right, yeah,
that's just wild.
yeah, the fact that months or years or however long beforehand that they make that the encasing and the grain and everything and the shapes, the shape of the grain, and it burns a certain way, and it's like I don't know it's like magic. And actually, I think Michael's telling us in the back channel the upper stage is actually liquid, and it's
Okay.
4 stages total. 4 stages. You don't see that much these days.
A lot of
So-
stages, but hey, rockets are the rocket equation is a harsh mistress. Sorry, go ahead, Matt.
In the solid phase, though, you're saying that they have to pack it exactly right in order to shape exactly how much thrust that they want at any given time,
Yep.
right? Because
that's
that
you
was
can't throttle it, right?
Yeah, that was a
yeah.
thing. I think there's even an article on NASASpaceflight.com about. I think Chris G or somebody did an interview with Northrop Grumman. I'm looking for that link now, but that was specifically with Northrop Grumman in their solid upper stage, right?
Hmm.
So I'm not sure if they do the same thing for the second stage on this. I think the first two stages of this are solid, and then what you said the upper is liquid, but there's
Hmm.
4. So is it? I wonder if it's solid, liquid. I should actually. I should
Like
know
solid,
this.
solid, solid liquid.
Something like that. Let's see.
Yeah. I'll be honest, Vega
But
doesn't fly that much, and I've never gotten to see one myself. I usually gravitate to the ones I get to see myself, you know.
yeah, I mean it launches what from French Guiana, so
Yeah.
it's a really cool launch site, and that's actually, if you guys don't know, that's where James Webb's going to launch from too, right? But
Right.
a little bit more difficult to get to French Guiana than most other launch sites. Let's
But
see.
yeah,
I remember.
as far as like like the way the fuel is loaded, it's like they shape it in different ways, like where like there's more or less surface area at different moments, you know, in flight, and I think they use like, you know, different materials or chemicals or whatever to get that flight profile. It's wild.
I think there was a little bit of debate about whether or not it was technically a European rocket because of where it was launching from.
Uh-huh.
Because it
Yeah.
is launching from within the EU, technically. It's
Right.
not launching from a French colony. It's actually like it's fully France,
Right. It's
just
part of
on the
France.
other side of the world.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I
Yeah,
always,
it's down there by the equator, over by South America.
yeah. So
And real
no
quick,
matter how you argue that, good.
it's 3 solid stages and a liquid 4th stage.
There you go. And what's the fuel
Just
on that
wanted.
on the liquid stage? Do you know?
Oh God, you're okay. Hang on.
I figured you're probably looking at a
I don't
Wikipedia
know.
page, so I figured it might just tell you. It's probably kerosene, right?
It is unsymmetrical dimethylhydrazine
Oh
and
boy.
dinitrogen tetroxide.
Oh, don't breathe it,
So
folks.
sounds like yeah. Don't breathe the spicy orange cloud. Do not do that. So yeah,
Do we?
let's see.
Are there
It got into space. It rocket did a good thing.
Are there any questions about Vega?
Not that we have in the queue right now, but feel free to ask if you do have one. We do have a couple of super chats. Paul Wengley, thank you very much for becoming a new member here. There is a question that's unrelated from Michael Tompkins, who asks, "Does Mary live on a boat?"
No.
It's an odd
I
question.
don't think so.
It's a very specific question.
That's a really
No.
yeah.
But thank you
Yeah,
for your
easy
support. I
answer, no.
appreciate it. Do you already show the launch photo for Vega?
Yeah. We've been watching the video this whole time.
Okay. All righty. Well, we're gonna have to hit Blue Origin at some point.
What?
Should we?
Blue Origin? Why is there something going on with Blue Origin?
Yeah, did they do something? Did something
We're-
happen with? No, I'm kidding.
Let's
Is there
go
a new
ahead and
infographic?
let's go ahead and lead off with Desmo Bluefire's super chat here, who put $20 in the chat and said, "Can I get an F in the chat for Blue Origin? I'm sorry, mods," and I'm sorry too for reading it out loud.
Yeah.
Blue Origin has sued NASA and has delayed development of the human landing system going to the moon.
Yeah.
I-
They had
Yeah.
to stop work. Which
I
it's
feel like-
always, it's always funny to me when, you know, it's, well, always, I guess it's the second time this has happened. It's funny to think that there's supposed to be like a stop work on the human landing system, but it's not like work is stopping on Starship, you know?
So why
Yeah, and
why has Blue Origin sued here?
I think it's called the nanny nanny boo boo clause.
Yeah, I mean I mean, I don't really have anything to say about it much. It just makes me kind of sad, and I hope that the suit gets cleared up quickly. But like you said, Stephen, it doesn't mean work stops on Starship. It means NASA can't work on the human landing system portion with SpaceX, right? So
Right.
there's so much more to do in the Starship system in terms of like what is this?
Yeah, this
Oh,
this
this is
post on
the
Reddit. Oh, where is it? I need to find it now. I need to get that pulled up.
But yeah,
Yeah,
there's so
apparently
much
some
more to do in the development of Starship. Sorry, just to finish that thought. There's so much more to do that a stop work on the human landing system portion is like, that's okay. They still have to build the launch site. They still have to get one to orbit. So
yeah.
um,
Yeah, and they're
it's
not even
it,
it seems like they're not even really to the part where they would be working on the human landing system. You know, I mean, they have that mock-up over
Yeah.
there, and I'm sure there's some things that are going on behind the scenes that we don't see down at Boca Chica.
oh,
You know, I
absolutely.
know there's
And at other centers too, probably back at
mhm.
back at Hawthorne and McGregor for that matter, working on like thruster designs or working on the interior. I mean, I'm sure they have an interior mock-up. Maybe they have like a VR interior mock-up. That's something that I saw when I went to Bigelow
Mhm.
back before they were gone. They had they made heavy use of VR to model the interior of their uh, space stations, and I think Virgin has done the same thing. So I bet you SpaceX has like a VR interior that they're working on or something similar. At least they're thinking about that stuff, right? But
Yeah,
sorry,
I'm
finish your
sure.
thought.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say what I'm thinking as far as like the work that has to stop is maybe where SpaceX is working with NASA on in orbit refueling, and also the effects of kicking up the regolith when landing on the moon. Like I'm thinking stuff like that, because like you said, they haven't even made it to orbit yet, so there's a lot of work to go on the vehicle itself
Yep.
before they're down to finalizing actual you know like lunar related plans for the Starship. But we've got this Reddit post pulled up, and this was posted by supposedly um, a Blue Origin employee, sort of apologizing for, I guess, the way Blue Origin has been as of late. Um, I don't know. Should I read it? Let's see. The TLDR is employee here. Most, if not all of us, do not agree with the recent PR activity from Blue. And actually, you know what? I was at the Friday Fest last night here in Cocoa Beach. It's a kind of a street party thing that happens every or the third Friday of every month, and met a few people from the industry. And one person was a Blue Origin employee, and they were like, "I'll," he said, "I'll buy a photo when you have one of Blue Origin." I said, "Like, launch something, please. I'm dying here." And I was like. I don't know how you feel about the infographics and stuff, but I just want you to know that we are all pulling for you. We all are rooting for Blue Origin to get into orbit and do something useful
Right.
in space.
We like rockets.
Yeah,
Y- Exactly. I mean, New Shepard is a pretty cool rocket. New Glenn would be a really cool rocket. The BE4 engine is a cool engine. It's just like start making them, make more. I
yeah,
mean, and I say this, and they're gonna fly. I think next week they have a mission coming up.
yep,
Um, so
yeah,
it seems like their cadence is picking up, and hopefully the actual company, aside from the horrid PR machine, the company and the people there can start doing more and more cool stuff. But it sounds like they've been losing a lot of employees per what's being
yeah,
shown on the screen right now. It sounds like there is an absolute exodus of employees from Blue, and uh, there's also reports that every full-time employee got $10,000 after Jeff flew, and then people were still leaving. I think that was in the article.
wow,
So
So this is more about the conduct of Blue Origin's messaging and communications department more than it is. Have there been discussions about what it's like for the workers at Blue Origin or the engineers, what that environment is like for them?
I mean, it seems clearly that it's not. They don't like it. It's not coming. It's not something that they enjoy. I mean, I don't
yeah.
know. I don't
There
know what
was
else to
that.
say other than
It was Eric Berger, I think, that looked up. eh, What was what's the name of that website where they show like how much the employees like working there and how much they like their CEO. You remember that? It was a couple of
Glassdoor?
weeks ago. Yeah, yeah, Glassdoor and at Blue Origin, like they liked their job, but they couldn't stand their CEO, which is not Jeff Bezos, by the way. It's Bob Smith, right?
There
Bob
was
Smith?
something that I saw about that. Let's see, I'm trying to find the tweet. But when they announced I think it was Eric or it was Chris who posted this and said, the report was that Smith started rubbing his hands together when he heard the news
Yeah.
about the lawsuit because he was so excited for that to go forward. Has he just sort of become like a cartoon villain?
Wow.
I mean,
Because that's what I'm imagining. Like, yes, we're going to delay them so much.
Yeah.
it
I
does
think
sort of seem that way. Go ahead.
Someone asked for clarification, and I
It was
think
Eric, yeah.
yeah, and it was the clarification was not that he was necessarily hoping for a lawsuit, but it was more like it's right. It's probably right there. I've got this too small on my screen, but there should be a tweet down there. Maybe it's under the We Martians.
And just back up a quick second. For those who do not know, this sort of, I think the story here begins at the way that NASA conducted the contract awards for the human landing system. There wasn't a backup. It was just SpaceX, and Blue Origin said, hey, we want part of that money too. We want to be the backup provider. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, originally NASA was going to award 2 contractors out of the 3. You had SpaceX, Dynetics, and then officially the national team. It's not just Blue Origin; it's the national team. But Congress did not provide enough money, and rather than splitting the money that they did get between 2 contractors, they decided to just give the money to one contractor. And this isn't for the entire Artemis program either, right? It's for like the first mission. It's only for the first mission. They still plan on bringing in another contractor, which could very likely be Blue Origin. Yeah, here's the tweet though. Eric clarified. He said, "Not happy about losing the contract, but ready for a fight. Eager to flex the company's legal muscles." You know,
So he's
and
kind of playing
Go ahead.
games.
yeah, it's like he's just. I don't know. It's like I don't. Is this where Bob Smith shines? I don't know. But you know, lawsuits in this industry aren't rare. You know, I mean, SpaceX had to do a lot of suing as they were coming up. You know, to be able to
Yep.
have the right to bid on certain contracts and stuff.
Yep.
So to me, like I've been wondering this whole time, like, is this a big deal? It seems the community has taken it as a big deal. Like a lot of people are scorning Blue Origin for suing NASA. But I don't know enough about the legal world. Is this wildly different from when SpaceX sued the Air Force or the
I think
DoD or whoever it was?
on paper, probably not, because there's a lot of precedent for this sort of thing. Like
Mhm.
you said, SpaceX suing the Air Force. But from a community standpoint, people don't really care whether the Air Force gets their 879th satellite in space on time. Whereas if you delay the return to the moon and you go after like Daddy NASA itself, then people are going to really start to take that personally as space fans. So it's not a good move if your goal is to engender yourself to the public.
Yeah, like
anyway.
getting the community behind you, sort of. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I was
Yeah, I
trying
mean-
to think, did SpaceX ever sue NASA? Like, is this like how often do companies sue NASA itself? You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
And we do know that it's like November is when they're going to make a final call, right? There's something that's going to happen in October where they're going to talk about it, go before the judge or whatever, and then it's like November the 1st, I believe, is when they're going to make decisions. You know, the judge is going to make the call. Yeah, there it is.
So, Jack, do you think that people are getting a little bit too worked up over this of something that's not quite routine, but it happens quite often, or do you think that there's a reason that people could be a little uppity about it?
I think people would be a lot less annoyed by it if Blue hadn't also concurrently been being really annoying with the infographics and that sort of conduct. And it's not just against SpaceX. This is not about SpaceX versus Blue Origin. This is about Blue Origin's conduct as a company, outward, like imagine a company as a person, because hey, legally they are. Blue Origin is like a real jerk at the party. Like they're a real jerk at the party, and nobody likes that. And they put out that infographic even before Virgin Galactic's flight with Richard Branson.
Yeah.
So it's the voice of the company is just not cool. So even if the suit isn't that big of a deal, they're just being they're just being jerks in other
Yeah.
ways.
I think
And
it's a
that
Big
is,
Lebowski quote.
it's a
You're not
it's a
you're not wrong.
cumulative effect. So that's, yeah, I don't know. And ultimately I think people want this to be like a big spicy topic, and it's like, oh, fight. And I mean, I just want it to be over and done with. Let's get this, like, this is the stuff that slows things down, like the bureaucratic mechanisms that stop the future from being now. And yeah, we just, it'd be really nice to get to a point where we're already headed back to the moon rather than fighting over how we get there.
There's a persona that these companies put out, right? So no matter what you might say elsewhere about Elon Musk, for example, you can tell that he's genuinely passionate about space and his rocket program, and he knows the ins and outs of most of the technicals. He's very, very informed. The presence that Jeff Bezos kind of gives is that the
It's not. I don't think
sphere
it's
effect, where you
I
go
don't
up to
think it's
space. I'm sorry, go ahead.
overview. The overview effect.
Yeah, overview
Yeah.
effect. You go up to space and you see the world and all of its glory, and it sort of positions you and where you are in the universe. You think, wow, this is amazing. Life is incredible. We should try to improve this. And there's a sense that Jeff kind of went up there and said, I don't think I own that portion or that one, and I need some of that, and we could do more here.
Yeah. Yeah. That was his big eureka moment. I think I'll sue NASA.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate that Blue Origin as a company puts off that sort of vibe. And
I mean,
Jeff,
in the webcast, they always come across as super friendly and excited about what they're doing. To be honest,
and when you hear Jeff talk too, like, it's easy to be swayed. Like, he's pretty good at talking the talk and saying, hey, Earth is fragile. We got to take care of it. Going to space is part of that. Like, Earth is the one good planet. We have to like take care of it. And going to space isn't about escaping from Earth and going to a backup planet, which is also a good thing to do. It's about going it, like, furthering what we can do to preserve Earth as this perfect special jewel in this. Like, he talks that talk. He does it.
Yeah.
You can tell that he cares about going to space, and he himself actually cares. And probably also he cares because he wants to make loads of money, but going there. But the point being, he has that same passion, I'm sure, as Elon and as all of us about spaceflight. But
yeah.
the way that Blue Origin as an entity is just, anyways.
Yeah. We do have a question here from C.E. Smith about the stay work on NASA from the lawsuit. Is the orbital tank refueling test contract separate from the HLS contract?
Yeah, and I was actually trying to put a line out and see if anybody in our yes. All right. Thank you, Michael.
we go.
Yeah, Michael just answered that for me. Yes, that is separate. So I misspoke earlier when I said like that they would have to stop the work on the refueling. So that's good. They can still continue working on that, which is going to be a very important part of Starship. The whole launch system.
We have some relevant super chats as well that I want to try to get through here. Musical Wolves, thank you for the support. Asked what is NS launching next week?
It's some science stuff. There's no people on board. It's yeah.
It's a different.
It wasn't intended to be funny, but yeah.
It's a different rocket. I think they refer to their rockets as tails. I think. Oh, darn it. I forget which tail flew Jeff. I could be wrong. I think tail 4 flew Jeff, and I think next week the rocket that'll be flying is tail 3. So it's tail 4 flew Jeff. 3 is next week. Yeah, okay. So I'm not wrong. Yay. And you're right.
Yes.
It's flying science stuff for I think NASA. Let's see.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a NASA lunar landing experiment.
Okay.
I wonder if it has
Wait.
anything to do with what?
They're flying.
Go ahead.
So New Shepard's flying up a lunar lander experiment, and they just put a stay hold on landing system work.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It's
Okay.
it's like tripping the guy you're running next to get ahead in the in the race.
Seems legit.
Oh man.
Yeah, I was wondering when I saw that. I was wondering if it was a, the landing experiment had anything to do with Starship landing, because NASA paid for the spot on New Shepard, and they decide what experiments are done. It's not Blue Origin deciding, oh, okay,
Yeah.
well, we'll take this experiment and this experiment and this. So I don't know. That's
Kind of awkward.
sort of ironic.
Grant Huck, thank you so much for the support there. Another one from Musical Wolves here. What does ULA's future look like if BE4 engine is delayed even more?
Well, in for a penny, in for a pound. They've already got a launch pad out here. I mean, it's basically built. You can see it from the beach. I assume that they are just going to keep on pressing on. And I've never run a huge company, but my guess is if certain things happen or like certain things can't get done, I think you change the leadership. You don't stop work and close down. You change up the leadership and get better people in there. So it will
Blue?
fly. I think it will fly eventually.
Change up the leadership at Blue?
Oh wait, did they say ULA?
Yeah.
Oh, what happens to Vulcan if the BE4?
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah, we've got like two sort of similar questions here. I'm going to throw up one from Thomas. What happens to Vulcan if Blue Origin can't produce a working BE4? Which is pretty much the same question.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry, y'all.
No,
Yeah,
that's
I kinda
fine.
went off on the wrong tangent there. But again, they don't just stop work. Vulcan. I don't know what the contract says, but I'm sure there are some stipulations in there, like if Blue Origin never produces a BE4 engine, then this is what happens. Maybe they're, they don't make as much money, or they switch to another engine, or there's got to be something in there, right? That these lawyers and stuff, they think ahead on stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I imagine at some point there could be lawsuits. I don't know if ULA would sue Blue or, like, for a breach of contract, or
Mhm.
I mean, it could get really bad. But I don't think there's going to be a situation where they just can't make the engine. I mean, they're gonna get it done. It's just taking a ridiculously long time. And I don't know. Could they even switch Vulcan to a different engine? That seems kind of insane.
I doubt it. I mean, just what I've seen other smart people say is that even if they like switch back to Aerojet Rocketdyne for the engine, which for those that don't know, prior to the BE4 being selected for Vulcan, it was they were taking bids from Aerojet Rocketdyne and Blue Origin. But anyway, yeah, what I've heard is that even if they went back to the Rocketdyne engine, it would still take way longer than just sticking it out with BE4, right? Because it's not
Yeah,
like
that makes sense.
it's not like Rocketdyne's over there working on the engine that's not going to be put on on the Vulcan, So they would be starting probably not from scratch, I mean, I'm sure they have some stuff developed for it, but I just think the BE4 will exist at some point. Whether it's the people that are working on it right now, or maybe they switch up the leadership, or get other technicians, engineers, whatever, more experience in there. They probably just ran into issues that they weren't expecting.
That was another comment down the line was, I am waiting for ULA to sue Blue Origin once they breach contract on delivery of BE4 engines for Vulcan, which is not a sure thing, but
Yeah.
it does seem like Blue Origin. is using their
Here's the
legal
thing,
team.
though. Well, the thing is that ULA has this whole time been very, like, they're covering. They're completely covering for Blue. Like, they have not gone after Blue at all, at least
Mhm.
publicly.
Yeah.
So they might just not, they might just not sue, no matter how bad it gets, and they might just eat it. I don't know. It just seems, so far, anyways, they've really been covering for Blue and not, not being like, Tori hasn't tweeted, "Where's my engines, Jeff?" That would be
Yeah.
amazing. I think Twitter would, I think Twitter would literally explode.
He's too nice a guy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He did.
he really is.
He did retweet a silly video with just a bunch of photos of Tori Bruno, and there was a really, like, half a second. There was a clip of the meme of "Where's my engines." So I just thought that was funny. His comment for the video was, "I missed that mustache." But I noticed that somewhere in there, like halfway through, there was a picture of Tori saying, "Where are my engines, Jeff?"
I'm sure he's
He's
aware of the
seen it.
memes.
He knows the memes.
Oh yeah, he definitely knows. He probably chuckles
Yeah.
at it.
I don't know, chuckle. Uh, yeah, it would be interesting to know. And he won't comment on it, but it would be interesting to know just how he really feels about it. I mean, it's space flight and
Yeah.
things take a long time. There's wiggle room. It's like when you set out to develop something in space flight, you don't expect it to be ready on the day. Like, especially that contract was given out years ago, and I'm sure they had a target date for when the BE4 would be ready, but nobody expected it to actually hit that date, right?
Right.
So that what's the threshold? At what point does Mr. Bruno get mad?
On their performance, David Dean has done a super chat as well, asking, can NASA redo their HLS selection report with the only change being to downgrade Blue's management score from very good to unacceptable?
I don't know.
That would be catty, wouldn't it?
Right.
I mean,
Speaking
hey,
of the
that's
nanny
one
nanny
way to
boo
go,
boo
I guess.
clause.
Yeah, right.
That's.
I mean, even if NASA doesn't actually do anything, I mean, they're really putting their feet in their mouths, and they're hurting themselves. It's like, you don't have to do this. You don't have to go this way. I mean, and it shows with as many people as they've been losing.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Anything else from the chat that they want to talk about this some more?
Oh, I'm trying to look through. We've got a few scattered questions here. After November 1st, and they continue with SpaceX, how can can Blue Origin still do more after the November 1st? Like, can they continue their legal action after this all goes down? Thank you for Rough Riders.
Yeah. I don't know. Sure. I mean, at some point, it's got to be like, okay, stop. Like, they can't
Go
just
away.
keep suing and suing and suing and suing, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Could they though?
In theory. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question.
To me, I don't know. Part of me thinks it's a little. I know that there's reasons for this, but it's a little bit wild that the billionaire can go, I don't like that I wasn't given that money. You need to stop what you're doing, and the government just says, okay, that seems
All right.
legit, and just stops work at NASA on that program. That I didn't know that was a thing that could even happen before this.
well, yeah. And did you see the video from, it was, Jeff Bezos was being interviewed on a stage somewhere years ago, and he was talking about how these large government contracts are done, and how, well, there's always going to be, the company that didn't win is always going to sue because they lost, and he was
he
was
literally
talking negatively
called them
about this.
describes.
Yeah.
He literally describes exactly what they're doing and says you shouldn't do that. Like, he's on.
Right.
Jeff Bezos is on video, literally saying that the thing that Blue Origin is doing, you shouldn't do, which
Right.
is mind popping and insanely hypocritical. But
Well, it didn't apply to him back then.
well,
Right.
he's not the CEO of Blue Origin, Matt. He is
I know,
just
but-
he's just the no. I'm being sarcastic. Like, he has that insulation because he's not Bob Smith. Technically, he doesn't work at Blue Origin. He's just the founder. I don't know. Maybe that's not how it works, but either way, I'm just being I'm just being stupid. But yeah, Blue Origin sued. Hopefully, it gets over with soon. I'd be happy. They lost lots of employees. Anything else?
Did they lose? What was? There were some high up people who quit too, weren't there?
Yeah, Lauren Lyons. She has worked at SpaceX before. A lot of people know her.
Yeah, she took
left
a pretty
Blue
high position at
Firefly.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's like this.
I'm gonna
I don't want to
mispronounce
say the
it.
wrong thing, but
Nitin Aurora. I'm really hope I didn't butcher that too bad. Also left. I mean, it's like it's employees that are like known to people in the industry. It's like when a big name gets acquired by a company, you're like, oh, interesting. They must be really serious about X.
Yeah.
And similarly, when big names start to leave, you kind of have to think like, oh wow, that's got to hurt.
Yeah.
What their goals are and how they're going to get there. But
especially with one of them leaving Blue to go join SpaceX.
yeah.
Oh
man.
Yeah.
Yeah. But and Blue Origin would probably say like, oh, we've actually grown in employees. We're growing. We have more employees than ever. This is not reflective of larger trends and all, standard corporate stuff. But the fact is that these are some big name departures. But it is true that there's lots and lots of people working at all of these companies, right, that aren't the managers, and they are technically growing in employee count. So there's still people working hard trying to make this whole thing work, despite the garbage coming out of the PR side.
That's got to be frustrating because I mean, if you're working on rockets, you've probably wanted to work on rockets all your life. So yeah, that can be frustrating when your boss is the thing bringing you down.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just noticed a comment here. If I can. Oh yeah, here we go. Yeah, Ted Sword said if Blue really wants to go to the moon or develop a lunar lander, they certainly could use a few $100 million from Jeff's bank account and not NASA's money. And that's I mean, there's going to be a contract, from NASA, but the thing, and it's probably already been talked about a lot, but SpaceX had skin in the game. They underbid everybody, and that's not because it's significantly cheaper to develop it necessarily, but that they're willing to put their own money in. And it seems like Dynetics and Blue Origin were not thinking that way. They were just like, okay, well, how much would it cost? If NASA was to pay us for the entire development, how much would that cost? Well, that is one way to look at it. But I think SpaceX looked at it as like, we're going to do this regardless. So we're going to have our skin in the game, and we're trying to win this contract. So you undercut the competitors and you win the contract, and then the competitors get nothing. It's like, do you want to overbid and make a ton of money, or underbid and actually make something? Because if you overbid, you're not going to get any of it, right? And of course,
I think part of it too is
the letter. Oh, go ahead.
SpaceX is also getting money from Dear Moon, the Yusaku Maezawa deal. There's however much money, we don't really know, I don't think, but it's said to be a significant chunk of money. I think like in the hundreds of millions, or maybe even, dare I say, in a like a billion. I don't know. I honestly, it's got to be a lot of money.
$1 million.
Right. It's a significant amount of money that they're getting from Dear Moon, and so that's part of it too. Like SpaceX is getting other money from other sources and sinking their own money into it. So maybe they just kind of had to go into it in a way. Like we ascribe noble intentions to SpaceX, coming at the contract from that angle that they did, and it might just have been necessity rather than nobility. But either way, that's how it panned out. And yeah, I mean, Blue Origin can definitely get there. if Jeff just dumped money into it, and we'll still get there if they don't get the NASA contract, and if the lawsuit comes to nothing. So ultimately, it's just a speed bump, and yeah, that can be. I think we should probably move on.
Jeff did offer to pony up a little bit of his money, right?
Yeah, but that was after the fact, and from other smart people. Once again, I know nothing. I just listen to smart people. Apparently, that's not even something they could have done. You know, they can't change their bid after the fact. Although, you know, that'd have been nice if they could do that, but kind of a too little, too late sort of thing.
Well, should we go ahead and move on to SpaceX and get into the meat of things, or well, actually, we still have Firefly and Ingenuity to talk about, don't we?
Yeah, I
let's
wanted
do.
to. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say let's do Firefly. What were you gonna say? What were you gonna say?
Oh, I was gonna say Ingenuity, but we can go Firefly. Let's do Firefly.
I'm gonna make you fight.
In your face, Steven. In your face.
I'm gonna sue.
All right. What's going on with the Firefly? Other than they got an employee switching over from Blue Origin.
They did a static fire. They're getting ready for a launch out of Slick 2 West here at Vandenberg. Vandenberg.
Lucky.
What is it? Space Force Base VSF whatever. It's Vandenberg Space Force Base now. And yeah, you can see engine igniting and all that good
Jack,
stuff and
what's
frosty
up with
rocket. It's a
this-
brand new rocket.
I just want to know, like, from a photography standpoint, what's up with this video? Why does it look so weird?
I don't know. I have
What do
no
you mean?
idea.
You know what I'm
It
talking
looks so-
about, though? Like,
It looks like okay. Here's what's gonna make me old. I'm an old. This is like you had Snapseed or some like old iPhone photo editing app back in like the early Instagram days where like you had to filter the crud out of an image in order to make it like because it's like a iPhone 3GS or something, and so you're in one of those editors and you just take the clarity or like vibrance or like and you just go all the way up, just all the way up,
The vivid
100%.
filter,
Yeah, it's something like that. Like there's some kind of filter on it. It could have just been that the PR person that posted it did that with some app and thought it looked good. It could be an artifact
Something
of the
with
camera.
Are you telling me that the rocket doesn't just glow?
Right.
Actually, this one is powered by pure plutonium, so it just has sort of that green Simpsons glow at all times. But
anyway,
no, it's yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting because it's a new rocket from a new provider. For me and for everybody on the West Coast and for everybody that's a customer of these types of things. So hopefully their launch goes well. It's got to be coming up soon if they're doing a static fire now, right? Like SpaceX does their static fires ahead of their launches, and we know what this is like. So, and that's it's going to be really neat to see them come online. That launch pad is a former Delta II launch pad, and I'm sure a bunch of other things too, because it's Vandenberg, so it was probably also like an ICBM pad or something at one point. But it's a really cool launch pad, and it hasn't been used for anything since the last Delta II in like I think 2018, 2019, something like that. That was launched out of there, and it's cool because Vandenberg's a beautiful launch site, and it's nice to see Slick 2. I think it's Slick 2 West come back online with a new rocket. It's a really beautiful launch site.
People hear a whole bunch about SpaceX and ULA and Blue Origin. What's Firefly's deal? What are they doing? What's their goal?
Well, they're sort of like Rocket Lab. I'm actually looking up. I'm trying to see what the size is compared to the Electron. So the Firefly Alpha, which is the rocket we're looking at here, is 29 meters tall or 95 feet. It's 2 stages. Trying to see what the not sure if they list the payload. Okay, so what I say, 29 meters, and then does anybody know off the top of their head how tall Electron is?
I don't.
Oh, hey.
This is all you.
Yeah,
So Firefly also has while you're looking at, they also have a a contract with NASA to deliver experiments to the moon as part of Artemis. So that's part of that's one of the things they're working on in addition to all of their commercial activities.
Yeah.
They're
Is that
based in
Capstone or is Capstone flying on Electron? I can't remember.
I don't know. I think it's
It's
Blue Ghost. I think it's
okay.
Blue Ghost Lander is what they're calling it.
Okay, yeah.
And
So the the Alpha rocket is about 10, 11 meters taller than the Electron, so it's a little bit bigger. The Electron is 18 meters tall. So the Alpha is well, quite a bit bigger actually. That's like 50% taller. No, a little more than 50% taller. But I do not see the payload ability.
It's 1,000. I think it's 1,000 kilograms to Leo, and Electron is 300 kilograms to Leo. So
Okay.
significantly more. It's like, I mean, a little over what 3 electrons. If
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be
I
cool
wish
to
I
see.
I
And
wish I was better at chemistry. I would make something with a 3 electron joke. It's in the valence shell. I don't know. It's been a long time. It's been a long time. Anyways,
this
yeah, I
this
got out
was
of chemistry. I was like, nope.
this was a successful static fire for them. When are they hoping to actually get this thing up in the air
I don't think we know.
or out of the air?
Ah, clever. Yeah, I don't think we have a date
Okay.
other than what? Currently scheduled for September the 2nd.
Hey,
Oh, there you go. September 2nd.
that's getting quick.
That's exciting. Yeah, that's really close.
Nice.
Wow, that's just like a couple weeks away.
Nick, do we have any questions that are relevant to this before we move on to Ingenuity? Actually, we do. Sort of. This is it starts with, I know it's off topic, so it's not entirely on topic, but how much longer do we have to wait until Rocket Lab can fire off Electron from Wallops? I really want to see that little beast.
Yeah, I do too, and I don't know the answer to that. Do you know, Jack? I know that their launch pad is basically ready.
What was the question? Sorry.
When's Electron launching from Wallops?
I don't know. we we don't have Chris or anything on this week to be like the supreme expert on everything. Let's see, Electron.
Yeah,
Rocket
and they
Lab.
actually had one of their missions moved down to New Zealand that I guess was originally going to launch from Wallops, and for whatever reason. Oh, I think the reason it doesn't have to do with they haven't gotten. Yeah, there it is right there. Thank you, Michael. Wallops is still awaiting the AFTS certification. That's the automated flight termination system. So they're still waiting for that. And that's why it got moved. And Capstone's been moved to New Zealand as well.
And to risk verging on the edge of our prior discussion, Dad Joke Cinema had asked, do you think that the feuding between Blue Origin and everyone will last long enough to let Rocket Lab get into the game?
Like like with
Neutron.
Oh, dang it. Yeah,
Yeah.
with Neutron and maybe launch Rocket Lab comes in there and like scoops the second contract.
Yeah.
Just out of spite.
I mean, it's a possibility.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah, you know, let's be honest. Like the space game has been very exciting. Like it's very dramatic. Like they could almost make a movie or a reality show out of what's going on.
I think that's all we got on this one. Ingenuity. You were excited to talk about Ingenuity.
Yeah, well, I just kind of wanted to bring it up briefly. You know, I'm not an expert on it, but I feel like Ingenuity is one of those things where, like, we were all super excited about it. You know, the first helicopter, or first flight on another planet that's not like rocket propelled. And then once that flight happened, it kind of fades into the background. But did you know that Ingenuity just flew for the 12th time
How'd it
earlier
go?
this week? It went very well. Let me see. The 12th flight went up to 10 meters, and then it flew 450 meters. That's pretty dang far. It flew for 169 seconds, so just about almost 3 minutes. That's I feel like that's pretty good. You're getting up there, like, kind of like cheap drone territory on the Earth. You can
Yeah.
fly for a few minutes and then you got to come back down. And uh oh, it was Monday. Okay, that was when that flight was, I think. Yeah.
So is this
Um.
still in the realm of testing Ingenuity, or are they fully on mission with it now?
Well,
I think
that's
it's like
go ahead,
fully on
Jack.
mission, right? I think it's a
Right.
fully on
Yeah.
mission, right? I mean, they only expected it, or they publicly said, if we get like I think they said 5 flights, we'll be happy. And they did sort of that early testing phase, and like you said, Stephen, now we're on 12, and
Yeah.
they've been flying it higher and further and using it to scout for Perseverance. And yeah, I mean that sounds operational to me, right? So it's just so cool that we have a flying thing on another planet for the first time, and now it's already proving useful.
Hmm.
I think of like the right flyer or something. It's not like you could start hauling mail to the next town over in the right flyer. Like there had to be several evolutions between that and the commercial use of an airplane, right? So the fact, and it's not a commercial use because it's NASA or whatever, but meaning this is the first flight of
Yeah.
their first flying thing on another planetary body, and uh, it's just it's so amazingly cool that they are
Yeah.
able to use it to actually scout around for the. I mean, yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know.
that's
I
exactly
could
what I
I
was
could
going to
just
say. It's so cool that they surpass it. I mean, they always do this. They manage expectations, and they say,
they're good
oh
at
well,
that.
this is
Yeah,
only gonna, if it flies once, we're happy. If it goes 3 times, that's fine. This is just a demonstration thing, and later on we'll have more capable helicopters, but it's done so well. It's actually helping with Perseverance's scouting. They if they see something that they want to check out, they can just zip Ingenuity on over there and get a closer look and decide if it's worth, because in these 12 flights, which I think is really cool, it's logged 2.67 kilometers. That's just over a mile and a half. Um, and it's done that in just a couple of months, right? A-
yep.
And Perseverance, well, I don't think Perseverance has even gone a mile, right? Not sure.
Uh,
But it takes, Curiosity and Perseverance, it takes them forever. Oh, here's the flight path. This is pretty neat. Yeah, so here's
I just
yeah,
I just want to stress, as someone who flies drones, if anybody in chat, if any of you fly drones, the fact that this thing is able to land safely on another planet, and avoid obstacles and pick a new landing site and not just completely annihilate itself on a boulder or something. Like
yeah,
I've crashed I think a drone maybe twice where it was just like, okay, yeah,
in pieces.
that was bad. Yeah, and both times were close to the ground while landing. I mean, it's similar um, to an airplane. Landing is a difficult phase of flight. So
Yeah.
this thing is landed at multiple different places, and yeah, there's like you said, there's the flight path on screen, the area that it flew and scouted for Perseverance. It just I don't know. I hope
Yeah.
there's more of this going forward. I hope the next rover has we learn from this, and of course we will, and we have more flying things. And I mean,
Yeah,
I
I
think about
agree.
the. Go ahead. Go
Well,
ahead.
it'd be cool if it's just every mission from here on out, if it's going down to the surface, have some sort of flying thing on it.
I mean, it makes
Yeah,
sense, right?
Yeah.
yeah. I've been
Because you don't
listening
have to worry
to.
about the obstacles, like Perseverance has to worry about, which rock is it going to roll over? Is this one too tall? I don't want to slip on the terrain, whatever. Once you're off the ground, I mean, as long as it's not a super windy day, you're good. You just zip on over to where you want to go. And there was a thing, I
Yeah,
was reading an article by Eric Berger, and he touched on something that I thought was interesting, that um, they they sort of took a chance in this area where it's like the terrain is like more slanted and stuff, and there was a chance that was going to mess with their radar system, and it was going to have issues. But apparently it soared right through it, because it's actually designed to fly over flat terrain, not like hills and mountains and stuff like that. but it
Yep.
still handled it just fine.
So cool. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been listening to A Man on the Moon. It's a book like about all the Apollo missions and everything.
Mhm.
And at one point when they were deciding, do we do a rover like a lunar rover that they can sit in and drive around in, which is what they ultimately ended up doing, right? There was some kind of flyer that was in consideration of being used, and
Mhm.
imagine how much more scouting we could have gotten done at the moon back
Yeah.
when we went if we had some sort of flying component. But thank goodness they had the vehicle, the lunar rover. But it's no
Yeah.
different for Mars. It's like any way we can enhance the mobility and get more science is just going to be really really good.
Yeah. Flying stuff around on the moon is a little more difficult because you have to use fire. You have to use
Yeah,
thrusters,
it wouldn't.
right?
I guess it
Boosters.
wouldn't technically be like flight because there's no atmosphere, but
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah, same kind of thinking, right?
Yeah.
Scouting from above.
Well,
Yep.
should we move on to SpaceX? I know that's at the top of a lot of people's minds here.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to go
Yeah.
ahead and
yeah. Let's
clear
do it.
through a few of these little super chats here real quick and just thank some new members. Diesel, thank you very much for becoming a member here, as well as Vlad. Thank you, and a big thank. Trying to clear that. There we go. Ricardo Lopez, thank you so much for becoming a. Actually, no, that was $5 to us. Thank you very much for that. And again, that was twice. Michael Schuring just became a new member. Welcome. Sean Conklin just became a new member as well. And so did Michael Schuring. Thank you so very much for your support in making NASASpaceflight Live possible.
Yes.
All right,
All right.
SpaceX. Let's do
Here
it.
we go. Oh man, this is such a beautiful sunrise. And then I think
Yeah,
this
well,
is
what's the
this is the most recent one, right? Because I don't want to misspeak because I was watching the most recent one this morning and it zooms in. I think it was one of the robots caught the sun rising behind Starship, and it was just super cool. Yeah, I don't think that was
yeah
today's or yesterday's rather.
yeah yeah that was I
Some,
think that was yesterday's.
sometimes I feel
But
like we're
yeah,
that Gordon Ramsay meme where, like, the sun rose up over Starbase. And we're like, oh, gorgeous, you're beautiful. we love you so much. Anybody else does anything, you donkey.
yeah. I mean, someone should make that. That's pretty. That's pretty good.
So in news, the sun came up. What else?
Okay, so the state of play in Boca Chica. If you guys have been looking, if you blinked, what's going on in Boca Chica.
Yeah, I think I
So
think I
far,
missed one daily video and was like, what happened?
pretty much. They've started to scrap Booster 3. That now feels like ancient history.
Yeah, right.
That has been ongoing, question mark. I mean, they sort of cut it in half and it's been
That was
like
cool, though.
just sitting in several pieces, and then they cut the half they cut off, the methane tank, they cut that in half in several pieces, and that's been all scrapped. But I think that lower portion, the liquid oxygen tank, is still sitting on pad A, and so
Yeah,
it's just a matter of they'll get to it when they get to it, I guess. But yeah, you can see
it's
there
just it's just a much shorter
can see-
booster now.
yeah, I think Starship's actually taller than it now, but the thing is that pad A is higher up than pad B. You can even see in this shot. And also pad A now has that booster adapter on it, which adds another, I don't know, like 12 or 20 feet or something. So
Yeah.
but yeah, it's just a short little guy now. And they'll cut the rest of
So
it
cute.
the rest of it apart over time, I'm sure. But
Yeah.
I want
I
them to
sure
put him
wish
next
they
to the
would.
Star Hopper.
That would be kind of cool.
Yeah, have buddies.
I really wish they could make it a water tower. That would be fitting. Um, I really wish they would sell pieces of stainless steel. Like just make 1-inch squares or 2-inch squares and throw them on the website. And I don't know. It would be really cool because there's so many of these that just get it's just gonna get scrapped. It's gonna get melted down. Maybe there'll be a little bit of Starship and all this stainless steel.
That's so nice.
Anyway,
We are all
that-
Starship stuff.
here you can. Yeah, there we go. We're all made of starships. Here you can see they're still working on the thermal protection tiles. They did that whole thing where they taped all the tiles with different colors of tape to denote,
Mhm.
I think, different, varying degrees of damage or usability. And they even wrote okay on some of them for the ones that were okay, I guess. I guess some people were trying to like decipher what color meant what. But yeah,
I
work
like the
continues
part
on
it was showing the worker up there like smacking the heat tiles into place. Like
that's how it works, right? It's like
Yeah.
the bracket is like a triangle and with 3 pegs on each arm of the triangle, and and they sort of just slap the thing on there, and inside the tile it's like there's a bracket baked into the tile itself. I don't know if that's the appropriate terminology. I know they call the place where they make them the bakery.
Oh, it's like it's formed in there. It's not like a
yeah,
piece that's
it's like
added later. It's like it's part of the shape
so
of it.
okay. Yeah, so okay, I've watched a lot of how it's made, so forgive me if you have no idea what I'm talking about. But you remember how it's made? That show rules.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
It
in a
always
lot of
puts
ways,
me to sleep though, so I never learn anything.
yeah, fair. In a lot of ways, I think about what we do in the daily videos as rocket how it's made.
Yeah.
Anyways,
One long how it's made
anyways,
episode.
in those, there's I forget. I don't know exactly what mechanical process it is. I forget, but it's basically molding. But you use metal, and the way that you make a mold that can withstand the heat of metal is you use it's like sand. They make a sand mold with a dye, and then they take the dye out, and then there's a cavity, and they pour the metal into it. And so I completely forgot why I brought that up. But
Because I
I
was
lost
talking
We like
about how
how
they
things
just
are
lost my
made.
train of thought.
yeah how they smack it on there. So you were saying that like the bracket that's on Starship like sort of goes into like a little hole in the tile, right? And that's like baked in there.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, right. We're talking about the tiles. Thank you.
Yeah,
So
talk
yeah,
about
they basically
tiles.
when they're it's like a ceramic thing where I imagine they have like a mold and they're pressing powder together, and they put at some point they put a piece of metal into the tile and press all of that material together before they do the baking. So I don't know. That's why they do the slapping on of like that, because there's actually a bracket inside of it. Anyways, sorry, long convoluted way of saying that.
I like the way it looks with all the colors up there. I mean, they could just
It's
leave
Me too.
beautiful.
Yeah.
They should just start making multicolored ones.
Yeah. That's all
I mean,
the
and then
Post-its,
that could give way then that could give way to designs, right? You just make it's like treat it like pixel art. Each hexagon is a pixel,
Mhm.
and go from there.
I mean,
Let's get
with
back
the
to that
colors they have.
load-bearing.
Yeah. You could like do like old school Mario on there or something,
That would be amazing.
That's what it looks like.
Oh yeah, so like just like in the same way that Tesla has the solar roof tiles, you could just make these like solar tiles or picture tiles. No, I'm just being crazy.
I don't think those
Just make it-
provide much heat protection.
Just make it a giant screen. It'll do fine on reentry. Anyways, what
Well,
else
so-
has?
We already came up with a load-bearing LEDs, so now we just need heat-resistant LEDs to put on the
Yeah.
side, and then they'll be functional.
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
Get on it.
Let's see what else happened. Some vectors, as I like to call them, vacuum Raptor engines. And it's not just me; it's other people too. I didn't come up with it. I think Joe Bernard came up with that one. Yep, Raptor engines were loaded up and left. Presumably, those were the ones that were on ship 20 when they stacked 20 with booster 4. So those are going back to probably McGregor. And I don't know, who knows? They'll get tested or swapped out or maybe cannibalized for more advanced versions of them. Because I forget exactly what serial numbers were on ship 20. I think it was like 2, 3, and 5 or something like that. But either way, they're all very early serial number vacuum Raptor engines. And Michael is drawing an injector, looks like,
Yeah.
which was set.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, Jack, because I'm sure there's people wondering why that portion is blacked out.
I mean, it's just sort of like if there's any secret thing on the entire site that you probably shouldn't take a picture of and post online. It's a really good picture of the injector of a rocket engine, because that's actually something where it's like
That's where the
it's
money's
not
at.
just that's an extremely complicated and important part of the engine, and regardless of whether or not you actually could glean any data from a photo such as this, which I don't really think you could, it's just sort of courtesy to do that. And
Yeah.
I have taken a similar photo of Raptor engines, and I think I tweeted it. I forget if I tweeted it or not. But it's one of those things where, it's probably best to not do that. I think
Yeah.
I do have photos that I haven't tweeted though, so just to hedge a little bit in case I did tweet them, because I don't remember, but because it was like after SN8 or something like that, and there's a bunch of crushed Raptors sitting there on the landing pad,
Oh
and
yeah.
at that point it's been damaged, and I mean, yeah, but I forget if I might have not even tweeted those, and just shared them on Discord.
Well, even if you
but
didn't, others did. There were lots of photos out there floating around of those.
That's
yeah.
true. So yeah, it's just a courtesy kind of thing. But point being, vacuum Raptors left Starbase. So if you're out there wondering, when are they going to fly? When is ship 20 going to be stacked on booster 4 again? One of the things to look for is getting a set of vacuum Raptors delivered, and maybe they already have enough on site that they're good to go. I would need to look at some of I think Mary recently got some shots into one of the tents that you just see the forest of Raptors, and it's just like, oh my god.
Yeah.
I think there was at least 2 visible in that shot, but I think that was before this was taken, so these 2 could very well be those. But anyways, one thing to look out for is vacuum Raptors being delivered to the site. That's probably an indicator of progression towards static firing and flight. And I don't know if we have a question about it or not. I'm not looking at the panel really right now, but
we do have a lot of SpaceX questions though.
One of the things we do get asked a lot is if the vacuum Raptor engines will be part of the static fire of Starship when they do a static fire of it, because presumably they'll do the same thing they've done with all of their vehicles so far, and they'll static fire the booster and they'll static fire the ship, and then they'll put them together and launch into orbit. So do they or can they fire those vacuum engines at sea level, and do they do that as part of a static fire, or do they do like a sea level static fire and a vacuum static fire to separate out the, maybe they don't want to do all 6 engines or something at once? But we don't really know the answers to all those questions, but it's things that we're going to be watching for and excited to find out what they end up actually doing.
Yeah. As far as like how they'll conduct the static fire, we don't know, but they can fire these at sea level. Actually, yeah, there you go. Yeah, Michael's
and they
confirming that again. I know I've heard other smart people say it.
Yeah, they have tested them, and they do test them at sea level at McGregor. So presumably, they can do that. They can do that as part of a static fire for Starship, no problem.
Yeah, but whether or not they'll fire all 6 engines we don't know that.
Yeah, will they? Yeah, it's remains to be seen.
Right. Got a question here for you from Accelerator Gun, who says, what regulatory steps does SpaceX have left to complete before an orbital launch from Starbase?
A lot. They still have to get that environmental assessment over with.
Yeah, the environmental impact assessment.
Was that not done yet?
Yeah. No.
No, and
that was the one about the tower,
as part
right?
of that, it's about the whole launch site, and it's about the rocket. It's a whole entire encompassing thing, and as part of that, they also I think there's a public comment period, like it's like baked into the process of doing that sort of assessment, and that public comment period lasts, I think, 30 or 60 days, and it's like no joke. That's gonna just take time in and of itself right there, just the public comment period, regardless
Michael's
of
saying
all...
that baseline is 30 days. It could be longer.
So do you think that Bob Smith is going to go down there in a trench coat and just like start to like lodge complaints?
Well, yeah. Well, what I was gonna say is like, I don't know who all can comment on it. I imagine it's gonna be locals, like people that live in South Padre, maybe Brownsville, or something like that. But the the old saying goes, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. There might be a lot more people that are like people that don't want Starbase to be a thing might end up being more vocal. So if you're in a position where you can comment on this, you probably want to make sure that your voice is heard, because a lot of times when it comes to for or against, people that are against things are oftentimes more vocal. So
It's the people on the people that are really for it and the people that are really against it, and then the people in the middle don't really compete.
yeah.
But I mean, it's a thing that's common. Like if someone's building a pipeline, and the community can get in on, that's one of the levers that that society has, is like this environmental process, and the community being able to register its concerns and have those concerns mitigated, but while still allowing the activity to continue if it's able to be done in a safe way. So I know we all want to rapidly rush towards the future, and I certainly do, but I also don't want to damage the community or the environment or restrict people's access to the beach more than necessary, or things. There are. It's not just people that are overly grumpy that are going to be as part of this comment period. There's going to be people with valid concerns, and there's going to be people with ridiculous concerns. Surely, there's going to be a whole spectrum. So hopefully it just gets over with soon, and 30 days is all it takes, and people make their voices heard, and the system works. That would be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And we can get this thing starting to launch out of Boca Chica. That is a really big question, right? Because South Padre Island is right there, like 5 miles away, and this is the biggest rocket ever.
Yeah, and Titusville isn't even that close to any of the launch pads. I think the closest you are to any of the launch pads here is like 10 miles or something, like if you're actually in a city. Now then again, once New Glenn starts launching, if you're standing at Jetty Park, you're only like 5 or 6 miles from that launch pad. I wonder, that's interesting. Yeah, it's about the same distance. They haven't launched anything that close to Jetty Park. I'm getting off on Space Coast launch viewing, but as far as like the environmental thing, it's not just about like what the direct impact is of having Starbase there. It's also that whole consideration of, well, if one goes RUD near near the launch site, like not like up and out of the atmosphere, but if it goes RUD near the launch site, how is that going to affect people that live in South Padre?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, they study all kinds of things, right? What is the effect if the whole thing goes boom on the pad? What if it goes boom 500 feet up? What if it's coming back in? I mean, I'm sure they're. I don't know if that's part of the environmental impact statement landing at Boca, but I mean, the landing pad is in the environmental impact statement. So either way, yeah, they're studying lots of different things in relation to the operation of the system near a population, and it's just how to do it safely and how to do it while not damaging the environment. But
for chat, sort of tangentially as well, if you've never seen a rocket launch in person, if you ever have the opportunity to go make that trip and get to one of the launch sites and see something in person, it is a life-changing experience, especially if you're a giant fan of space, which you probably are because you're here.
Yeah, if you're watching,
mind-blowing, absolutely.
Yeah,
it's true.
Yeah, it's super cool.
So
and
here
try
you
to get
can
as close as you can. That's what I always tell people. Like, I was talking to someone last night that had just moved to the area and had only seen like 1 or 2 launches so far. And she was talking about how cool it was and the sound and everything. And she was asking like if it's worth it to get closer. And I was like, oh yeah, like because she told me where she lived and where she watched from. It was like, oh well, you're talking, you're like probably 18, 20 miles away from the pad. Like you get the low rumble, but if you go up to the visitor complex to the Saturn V Center and watch a launch from 39A, you're only like less than 4 miles, I think, from the pad.
Yeah.
And it's just a different sound. I call it the popcorn. Some call it the crackle. It's like the sound is different.
Just the
So,
sound of air tearing.
yeah. Yeah.
So we just saw they've made a new stand and they've been testing a Starship aft section on that stand. They have been working on Booster 4 in the high bay. They've been working on the launch site. You can see there's like a million cranes right now. I mean, there's always a million cranes, but there's even more. They're working on the quick disconnect arm. They're
And
working on the launch mount.
the
It's just crazy the pace. I mean, that they're going at. You can even see Booster 4 in the high bay in that shot right there, and
yeah,
Ship
that's awesome.
16 and SN 15 back there. That's really cool.
I think this is today's. There was a part in here that stood out to me. It's I don't know. It's around like 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 seconds, something like that, where it's what the black structure is. What is that? Oh, now we're on. Oh, see, that's today's, the one with the cool sunrise. Okay, yeah,
So,
right here. Yeah, this structure is. What is this? Is this catch arms? What is this?
I think that is. I would need to see a wider shot. I think that's catch arms.
But look, like it's like there's
Or
this
it might be
gap.
part. It might be
right-
part of the. It might be part of the quick disconnect. You're putting me on
Okay,
the
yeah.
spot here.
Sorry. Yeah, this.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, catch arms. Catch arms. Okay.
Yeah, because the quick disconnect's yellow. The catch arms are black. I think.
This part right
And-
here where there's this gap and they have like this. What do you call that? Like a splint almost, like bridging that gap. I wonder what is that about? Did I miss something? Like did they?
I think
did
there's just
they-
a piece that hasn't been lowered in there yet. Like there'll be a tube that needed to be shaped differently than the tube on either side of
Oh, okay.
that joint. Yeah, so it almost looks like those in that previous shot, the close up of the top two parts. Like, I'm wondering, are those hinge points or are those catch
Kinda look like it.
points? Because
That's what it.
if
yeah.
we've seen the little nubs on the side of the booster that they use, it's like it looks two big ball sockets that you would like have on the back of a truck or something, and they kind of look like receptacles in that shot. But it could just be hinges. But look at that. See, does that kind of look like the two little? This is just an observation I'm making right now. I don't know anything, but it kind of looks like two little nubs, little
We all
slots
know
the
how
nubs
this
could go
works.
into.
Yeah.
Right? It's just like, how does it work? Please show me a diagram. But
I can't. Yeah, I can't picture how that's supposed to work. I'm super anxious to see it. And I actually saw a lot of this being delivered. And I remember being like, "What on earth is this?" Because it came in sort of like parts of it were partially constructed already, and then I got to watch them weld on it and stuff. Couldn't figure out what it was, and now we've figured out what they are. I'm super anxious to see how they work, how they attach. Like, where do they attach on the tower? Do they attach like
Yeah,
to
how are
the
they-
on the corner,
how are they-
or like? Yeah.
how are they actuated? Like what physical mechanism allows it to like turn and move, and what does that look like? And it's gonna be really wild to see the tower actually come together, because it already looks crazy as tall as it is.
Mhm.
Let's see what else. Or
Well,
did you have questions or
kind of-
something you want to go into on that?
We've got some more random stuff kind of going through. The super chats that laughed at the end who haven't really fit into the conversation so far. But I do want to let you guys finish your train of thought on SpaceX before we get into it. And I want to do some quick thank yous to Jonathan Douglas for becoming a new member here, as well as Luke Timmons. Thank you so very much for your support, as well as TJ Smith and to Michael Tompkins as well. Thank you very much. And a quick comment here from Saturnman. Stephen Marr looks like James Hetfield in the 80s. Thank you for all the work you do. NASASpaceflight.
Yeah.
Never again.
That's
That was
all.
amazing, but never.
That was essential to put on the screen. So
Ooh.
Oh man.
before we get into the
so yeah,
random
let's-
questions, though, do you want to keep talking about SpaceX or?
Oh yeah, I mean we have a bunch more stuff that happened this week. We just kind of got into the
Okay.
weeds a little bit.
Oh yeah, there was the thing
Um,
about the flap design change, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Elon tweeted that there's a huge error or a slight error. Sorry, slight error with
slight
the
error.
forward flap design.
A slight
different than-
error
little different
shaped
than
like a
huge.
huge error.
Yeah, shut up. But yeah, this is sort of something that came along from one of Tim's videos, like the tour video. I think the second tour video, they like Elon starts to talk about the forward flaps, and and says that there's an error, and then they like kind of get off into the weeds, as one does, on like the re-entry profile of Dragon versus Starship. But now we get to find out what that error is, and it's the parts of the flaps that don't move. The basically the parts that juts out from the Starship tank section or
Is that
nose cone
called the
section.
static arrow?
Yeah, exactly. That's what is known as static arrow, apparently. And they're gonna, if you think of it right now, the flaps on the current design are 180 degrees apart on the whatever circumference. I'm not good at geometry and math, but so they're gonna move them so
Or
that
chemistry.
they're further back around. Yeah, a lot of things. I'm just not good.
You're doing great.
So
Yeah.
they're gonna move them so they get less heat re-entering during re-entry as use my
Michael
head
said.
as a nose cone model. No, I'm not gonna do that, Michael. That's no. Yeah, they're gonna
You have to
move them
complete
further
the picture
back.
here.
It's further back. There you go.
Yeah.
It's right now they're like this. They put them further back. Sort of think of it like the helmets with the wings that come out the side in the cartoons. Little Valkyrie helmet. Anyways, so this is going to be interesting to see on future starships, because it's going to completely change the way that they look, and hopefully
and a
will
few people
make them
have
easier.
few people have done some renders of it. So they're out there floating around if you want to kind of see what Jack's trying to convey with his head cone. Yeah, they're out there.
So
This is
yeah,
so
it's going to be
precise.
really interesting, and it's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, these are prototypes and they will change, and they might not always look like exactly how they look like right now. Let's see, they started groundbreaking on a new high bay, the what we're going to call the wide bay. At least I'm going to call it that. Hashtag wide bay.
I like
Wide
that.
bay.
Yeah,
Thick bay.
that's kind of a big deal. Elon confirmed that on Twitter too, so it wasn't just like speculation. It's like, no, that's literally what they're doing. Is they're starting to work on the high bay.
Right.
The wide bay, sorry. We've seen parts of ship. Oh, well, there you go, right there, bam. Which is exciting. That's if they want to up their cadence, that's really going to be part of how they do that, right? Because they're building the machine that builds the machine, and this is a massive new part of that machine that is going to go into service and whatnot, as helping boosters and everything get made. So that'll be cool. I wonder if this will be the highest they go, or if 2 years from now they will have an even higher or even wider bay.
I hope so.
Who knows? But yeah, that was a thing. They keep working on all of these new. This is like a booster test stand, looks like, or it
like
might
a
even be a
cake.
test stand. It might be. Yeah, right. It's a delicious metal cake. Eat it.
Or it's a cake, yes.
They've been working on. We saw that ship section put on a mount. So they're working on all kinds of different infrastructure type things. Here's part of Ship 21, I believe. That is Ship 21's aft dome, which is the part that the vacuum Raptor engines and the sea level Raptor engines attached to. You can see those circular things are the vacuum Raptor mounts. And yeah, cool that there's like a guy. Is that an optical illusion, or is he sitting on it?
It looks like yeah.
That's cool for scale.
Yep. There you go.
Sitting right there.
Thanks, Michael. Yep, and they made a. We'll go back to that other image. They made that test tank. Well, what looks like a test tank. We're not really, we haven't heard exactly what it is, but it's the same construction as the GSE tanks, and it's tiny, like the other test tanks that they've done.
Yeah.
So presumably it's another test tank. This one for GSE. So expect this thing to be finished up and then rolled out and then tested, but it could just be like a water tower for all, it could also just not even be a test tank. It could literally be a water tank at this point. So who knows? But I don't think we've seen a label or anything on that just yet. And let's see, anything else in in
It
Boca
looks like
this
it's
week
got a
that I'm
face and
forgetting.
it's saying, "Who you calling a test tank?"
Marr. Oh, I love it. It's really
Why
there's
is
a
he a
there's a thing. It's
gangster? He's like a
well, look at him.
30
He's got
there, see?
yeah.
Yeah,
He's
so
got
we're gonna
an
blow this
open
place
mouth.
up,
He's,
see?
yeah, I
I
don't
just
know.
love that that's what you went with.
That just seemed appropriate to me given his expression. He's almost got like the dent. Is that a dent right there? He's got like a
Yeah.
little snout nose.
Little
It's
nose,
perfect.
yeah,
Marr.
little mouth there, yeah.
You're gonna give me liquid oxygen, see? Marr.
How much do you want, see?
um, yeah, let's see. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that happened. We saw some Raptors delivered. That's just the flow of Raptors is continuing to both go back to McGregor and arrive at the site as they either shuffle different engines, different places. And Michael is, thank you for that. Yeah, that's perfect. It needs a little hat. I mean, it kind of even looks like it has a. Oh, all right, I gotta stop. There's a thing called pareidolia. Pareidolia is where you see faces on things, and it's really easy to do with certain Starship hardware. Yeah, there we go. Raptor Boost 24 delivered.
Yeah.
That's a non-gimbling variant of Raptor engine, and it looks really clean.
I was
Like,
gonna
it
say, it
looks-
looks like less of a rat's nest.
You see, okay, so if you're looking
Yeah.
at it, you see that part in the sort of the middle, where you can actually see. I think that might even be the thrust chamber. It's like in the midst of the swarm of chrome pipes, there's a part that looks more dull, like the nozzle. That's
Yeah.
and part of the engine itself. And normally that is sort of difficult to get eyes on because it's surrounded by such a spaghetti of pipes. But it is becoming more and more cleaned up. And if they're going to pack 33 Raptors or whatever the number ends up being on the boosters eventually, they're going to need to make it as compact and tight as possible. And we already see progress with that with this engine right there.
Well, and in Tim Dodd's video, Elon did say that like the next version is going to be a lot cleaner. I don't know if this is
Exactly.
it, but yeah.
It certainly seems like a step in that direction at the very least, which is really cool. Yeah, and that was going to be Raptor 2, right? Is what he referred to it as. And I'm not sure that we've seen Raptor 2 yet.
Yeah,
I presume that
doubt
we
it.
haven't.
But yeah.
So yeah, I think that's all the Starship. I'm surely missing some Starship things. Probably some stuff happened at the GSE farm. Loads of stuff happening in Boca Chica constantly, and definitely stay tuned to the daily videos that we put out if you want to keep up on what's going on. And it's probably the best way to do it, along with following Mary, because she's the one out there, shooting it every day, so she knows what's going on.
We've got
which is awesome.
Just a few more super chats I want to try to nail through before we end here. It's about that time. Joel Fernandez says Blue Origin would need 30 plus flights to get the same payload to surface as SpaceX. I was still talking about the moon. Is that right? I feel like that's a little different. Michael Tompkins, thank you very much for the support on there. Weren't ULA's Air Space Force launches sold as to fly on Vulcan? Would the Air Space Force not be unhappy about Vulcan not flying? It's a little. Try to parse that out. So
Air Force would not be happy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there's your answer.
That's plain and simple. I mean,
yeah, they definitely want their rockets flying. Well, not their rockets, but they want their payloads flying. Definitely.
Thank you.
I do sort of wonder what kind of undercurrents there are that occur in terms of like, is there sort of it's probably not allowed to happen, but is there sort of any talk between the Air Force and NASA when NASA is selecting human landing system providers, like, or is NASA able to get wind from an unhappy Air Force if they are unhappy? I don't know. It's always fascinating to wonder what's going on behind the scenes with all that stuff. Sorry, I digress. Go ahead.
No worries. Just thank you to Musical Wolves who keeps throwing we're way past the point at which these jokes would have been timed well, but thank you, Musical Wolves, who also asked if we saw the presentation of Psyche Mission.
Psyche.
Yeah.
I haven't. Is there something new out there? Because I'm definitely interested in the Psyche mission. It's a mission to an asteroid. Yeah, if there's something new, I'll look that up. That'd be cool. Because I know that launch is coming. I don't know. I don't remember when it's supposed to launch, but that's a pretty cool mission.
in terms of all the post-its on the side of the Starship, Mr. Wolf's called it the world's largest Christmas tree. Thank you very much for that. Jim Cavett says, love the show. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much, Jim, for your support. A question here about the catch mechanism. What about using the catch mechanism to assist with launch? Zero added weight to Starship, free thrust for a short distance. Are you talking about like tossing it in the
Like,
air?
yeah, like kind of, yeah.
Like,
I've heard
whoop.
that suggestion before, and I'm not sure how much fuel. I mean, you would save some amount of fuel, you know, like if you're
Yeah.
in your car and instead of using the gas pedal to start, you actually pushed it yourself a little bit, you'd save some amount of fuel, but I
Seems
don't
dangerous.
think.
You just slingshot it up.
Yeah, because what if the engines don't ignite and you know, you don't want to toss it up there and then not have the engines ignite. That'd be not good.
John Dobker asked, would a craft similar to the Osprey work on Mars?
That'd be
What's
pretty
the
cool.
Osprey? Oh, that's
I mean,
from Halo.
I presume, yeah. You say it's from Halo?
Is it not? What's it from?
The Osprey,
Pelican.
right? The
Oh,
V-22?
the actual human Osprey. Oh, I thought
That's
isn't
what
there one- Okay.
I don't know. It's been a
Forgive
long
me.
time since I've played Halo. No, it could be right. I'm not sure which they're referring to, but a tilt rotor aircraft. I mean, that would be really interesting.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. I photographed
know
that at the air show. Yeah.
I know the Ingenuity has to spin its rotors extremely fast, like I think thousands of RPM, because the Martian atmosphere is so thin that to generate lift, it has to just spin them much faster than a normal
Like
helicopter's
crazy,
blades.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how that might affect a tilt rotor type setup on Mars, if that is what they're asking. If it's the Halo thing, I don't know, Steven. You got what if that?
I don't know. I don't know.
Have to ask
There's
Master
probably
Chief.
not even one. There's probably not even one in Halo. I just I misthought there. I always reserve the right to be wrong.
Ryan Elminger said, first stream I watched SN8 Sunrise to T01 in Scrub. Watched 10 plus hours next day. Can we get a stage not a spaceport design? Oh, a
Stage
t-shirt design
not?
that says stage not a spaceport?
Stage not a spaceport design.
Well, think about it, but thank you.
I'm sorry, Ryan. I'm not understanding.
Yeah,
But thank you for
DM
watching so long. I mean, thanks for being in there for the long haul.
Yeah, you're an OG. Well, I guess an OG would be like watching since like SN5 or 6 days, but you're an early member, which is awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
But if, I don't know, DM me or something on Twitter and make that let me know what you mean there.
From Sean asked, what options SpaceX have if indeed the FAA environmental approval will take too long or will not even go through? Well, if it doesn't go through, they've got a huge problem.
A big problem if that happens. I think most people are expecting it to go through, but I mean, the spirit of the question is, what if it doesn't?
Yes.
I don't know. I mean, maybe they would have to only launch from Kennedy. Oh, I would not.
Boo. No, I would be very upset. That I really hope that they can pull that off, but who knows how that's all going to shake out.
Yeah.
And last one here, Beal Perrock, again, thank you very much for the support, says, could the backside of Starlink satellites be modified to make the largest radio telescope in human history and therefore reduce Starlink controversy?
Oh, wow.
It's above.
That's as with anything
above us,
space,
I think.
that would add mass, and adding mass is what you don't want to do. But I mean, hey, interesting, crazy idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
And with that, I think we've come to the end of the show, haven't we?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah.
That went okay. We were going to be light on time, but we went there. We did it.
Yeah, we did it. Yeah. Excellent.
Go team.
Thank you, members.
Yes, actually, a very big thank you to our members who allow us to do NASASpaceflight live. We can find us every weekend here on the channel. Stephen Marr, where can they find you?
You can find me. I'm most active on Twitter. It's spacecoast_STVE. I have a website where I sell prints at spacecoaststeve.com, and I'm also on Patreon. Facebook.com/SpaceCoastSteve.
And Jack Beyer, what about you?
Twitter, the Jack Beyer. You can catch me on Patreon. I think it's just Twitter Jack Beyer. I actually don't remember what it is off the top of my head, but I probably should. But yeah, that's if you're an Instagram person, Neon Heat Disease. I had that one before I was being professional, so forgive me for that. But yeah, mostly I guess Twitter probably. But yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks to members for letting us do what we do, and hopefully you join us next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'll be here. And for the first time, I have been your host, and I am Matt Anderson, and you can find me on Twitch and Twitter at Bad News Baron. Oh, and thank you, Dad Joke Cinema, for just becoming a member right there. I've known him for a long time.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah. Next week, I guess. Hopefully, CRS-23 will have gotten off the ground that morning. I think next Saturday morning. Am I right? 28th.
Yeah. Speaking of supporting NASA spaceflight, if people wanted to wear their support, or would be a good place they could do that?
Oh, I think there's a store of some kind that sells tangible goodies.
I can never remember if it's NASASpaceflight.com/store or NASASpaceflight.com/shop. Is it store
We
or
have
shop?
so many designs and memes that you can wear on your torso, and you will never go cold. That will
Right.
absolutely give you protection from the lightest of elements, wherever you are. So
This is one of my favorite
out those
ones that we've put out so far. This I Was There shirt, because it's got the cool hexagon tiles. Hexagons are the bestigons, and it's just really cool looking. And I think Pauline designed that one and did a really good job
cool.
on it.
Yeah.
Super cool. So thanks to everybody. I've been down shooting at Starbase, and I've had people come up to me in NSF merch and be like, "Hey, are you Jack Beyer?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, you're wearing our merch! Like, thank you, thank you so much for
So cool.
for supporting what we do and for being so into it that you're willing to wear it literally on your sleeve." Haha. So, yeah, there's a Spaceport Not Found one because of that hilarious Blue Origin infographic. I love Sad Hoppy. It makes me sad a little bit inside, but I do love Sad Hoppy.
And
Anyways,
recently added the
that's
When
my-
Orbit design as well.
Right.
Oh, nice.
All right, so
yeah.
we're all going from here over to the live stream. Yeah, the live feed of Starbase
Live.
Okay, then go ahead and stay tuned for that. And I guess we will see you all later. Have a great rest of your day, and thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
We have liftoff. Propulsion continues to be nominal.
The chamber pressure looks good. Doubling up. Roger, roll, Atlantic.
Water towers fly!
Tango Delta nominal.
Flight down speed off. Bring in SCE off.
Yikes. You bet. Concur. We don't need any more of these.